additional time and put Leyton Orient in front. And Leyton Orient have come from behind and surely have picked up 3 precious points.
Good afternoon or good morning from Orient Live here, wherever you're watching from. It's an early kickoff, of course, so could be any time in the world, eh? I'm delighted to be joined here in the studio for today's game by Glenn Wilkie and women's player Steph McCaffrey. And we're facing Stevenage, who are on a fine run of form themselves, and the O's are looking to change their fortunes somewhat in the league. Guys, thanks for joining us. And Steph, it is a really good opportunity today, but maybe a really difficult opportunity considering the opponent to get our league campaign back on track.
Yeah, for sure. And I think games like this are always exciting, right? Because sometimes to re-energize a team, a challenge is the best way to do that, as opposed to going into a game where you're expected to win. So I always found when I was in the NWSL, taking someone out top of the table, there was no better way to motivate the changing room, not the locker room, as I was just going to say. So I'm really excited for the O's today.
Absolutely. And we were talking just before we came on air, Glenn. Stevenage do sit in second, could go top with 3 points. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But you look at the games they've played, and probably the only standout team in there they've beaten is Huddersfield. So, you know, maybe a bit of a false position, one that we can take advantage of today.
No, they're not in a false position. They're not, and I'm going to go against what you said. They're second. They've got the points on the ball, regardless of who you play. Right? We know that. Richie Wellings comes out and says every week, there's no easy games in this league. Circumstances, there could be bookings, there could be sendings off, there could be injuries, whatever. It balances itself out, right, over the season. They're in a position, a strong position, like you say, they can go top of the league today. If they win, which I don't think they will. Looking at our line-up, I know we'll come on to that. I think we've got a very strong team today. And like Steph says, it could be a real marker for this squad, and to really get the season kick-started today with a really positive result.
On the flip side, we're looking at it, second place Stevenage, it could be a big motivation for them, but that motivation of, in the early kick-off, trying to take top spot, that's probably massive motivation for Stevenage. They're going to be really at it today.
Yeah, they are. And I think something that I'm super excited about with us being at home and then coming out is the ability to catch them on transition. Because I think with the chance that they have to go top of the table, if I were them, I would push right away and be super, super hyped. And that always leaves that sometimes leaves teams getting exposed. Given how good we've been on the counter this year, I'm excited to see what Wellens can do, what Ballard can do, and then what Ollie O'Neill can do off the bench in those areas.
Go and step, sort of touching on what you just said there, it's quite a unique situation with Stevenage in the position they are in the league coming here today, because they're full of confidence and like you say, they can go top. They're going to be coming at us. Most teams every other week, they know we're a good side. They know we're a possession-based team and we keep a lot of the ball. So they'll sit back and they'll have a block of 4, block of 5, come and break us down. I think with Stevenage today, because they're high flying and they think, oh, you got beat to Reading last week and Reading are poor, we can go and attack you. And I think it's going to be open from the first whistle, and that plays into our hands. Like Steph said, we are very good on the counter attack, and I think it plays into our hands.
Well, a bit of bad blood as well between the two teams, looking back at that League Two campaign, but we know who won the title that season, don't we, O's fans? Right then, before we go any further then and take a look at the home starting lineup, let's hear the pre-match thoughts of Mr. Paul Terry.
PT, Stevenage to come on Saturday, just how tough a test will they provide?
Yeah, always a tough test against Stevenage, and now, especially now they've had a really good start to the season. So, but we know what they're all about, and we know how tough it will be. It's been the same over the years, especially since we've been in here as well. So it's going to be a tough game for us.
What makes them such an effective side, do you think?
I think the way they do the same things. They're really effective for what they do and how they play. They've got good players in the team. You know, at the back they've got experience. They've got runners in the team. They've got people that want to score goals. People that want to cross. You know, they've got a good variety of things in amongst all their team. So, you know, and buoyed with a bit of confidence from results from the start of the season, that's what they're looking good.
Similar to us, they've got some players who've been sort of on that journey with them up through League Two. Just how much does that continuity help a squad?
Yeah, it definitely helps. You know what I mean? We had it, but then we've lost a few players, whether we've sold them or they've moved on or whatever. In whatever way, they've kept hold of a lot more of their squad from when we both came up from League Two. So it definitely does help. But you've got to evolve as well, and you've got to move on with it. And you know, we've had a lot more changes than them in our whole squad. But you know, each to their own, and that's how they've done it. And like I say, they've been very successful.
Defeat for us last time out at Reading, but there was certainly a lot of positives to take. What kinds of things did we learn from Saturday, do you think?
I think confidence is a big one. Like you say, I think there was a lot of good things to take out of the game. You know, take the result away from it. I thought we had some very good passages of play. We caused them a lot of problems. You know, still loads for us to work on though. You know, in both boxes, and just being a bit more clinical and being more defensively sound with everything. And that's starting from the front as well. And that's not just defenders, you know, but I think there was a lot of positives we can take from that game and we can build on and try and get ourselves now into the rhythm of a few wins on the trot.
Time to take a look at the lineup for this afternoon's clash then. And starting in goal for the O's, of course, it's Mr. Tommy Simpkins. Across the back line, we have Dimitri Mitchell keeping his place at left back with Tom James on the opposite side of defence. Dan Happy and the captain Omar Beckles both return from their injuries and they start this afternoon. Idris El Mazouni partners Sean Clare in midfield, and then Charlie Wellens, Aaron Connolly, Josh Koroma are all behind Don Ballard, who leads the line. And on the bench is Killian Cahill, Jack Simpson, Romani Edmonds-Green, Tyreek Bakinson, Jack Morehouse, Ollie O'Neill returns from injury as well, and Azim Abdullahi is the final one on the subs bench. So, a very interesting starting lineup, one that I'm quite excited about personally. What about you, Glenn?
I'm loving it. Absolutely love it. The big thing for me, and the problem last week for me, was our two leaders, our captain and vice captain, were off the pitch and we lost the game. We had lack of leaders on the pitch, I thought, for the majority of the game last week. Today we've got Beckles and Dan Happy back. Hopefully they're not struggling, they're fully fit. I think they will be because they're starting. But to have them back gives that midfield a bit more confidence and we can push higher up the pitch. Because last week when you didn't, I think El Mazouni was dropping it back a bit deeper, trying to cover them. It just gives us an opportunity to say, yeah, we know these guys, what they can do, we can trust them, we can push up the pitch and get on the ball a bit more.
And you touched on it, but Dan Happy just coming back from injury, Omar forced off last week, which was a real blow. With Stevenage being the direct team they are, they're the two you're looking at and kind of praying throughout the game that neither of them go down. They'll be crucial today. Yeah,
they'll be absolutely crucial in two ways. One is in the most obvious way, which is competing for first and second balls, leading the line, and making sure that we stay compact enough that we don't get beat either through the gaps or over the top. But the second thing that I'm really excited about is to see how they organize the defensive midfield. I thought like a lot of the times Reading got through, it wasn't because of a lack of effort, it was because of a lack of focus. And you saw some of their midfielders or their false nines slipping through the gaps. So I think having Happy and Beckles back to organize and keep us switched on will be really, really helpful for the O's today.
And we know what Stevenage is about, right? Over the years, they're a big physical side. They get a lot of goals from set pieces, very dominant. It's good to have our two big boys back because we're going to need them today.
Well, they're probably the only big boys, in inverted commas, in the whole starting 11. Everyone else around them is not probably known for their physicality, so they're going to have to win everything.
That's what I get paid the big bucks for, eh?
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's look at the other aspects of the defence then, the fullback positions. Dimitri Mitchell was really impressed in left back recently, and Tom James as well. We know his quality on the ball, so we're going to try and outplay Stevenage today, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't love bringing up last year, but two of my favourite players last year were at the fullback position in Ethan and Jack. So I think that the layman's kind of view is, oh, well, we haven't replaced them, but I actually think we've done a really good job of doing so. Both of them have a ton of quality. They just need a bit more confidence to beat people on the dribble and break lines.
They're spot on. I thought last week Mitchell, a lot of supporters online and that were giving him pelters. They wasn't too pleased with his performance. I thought last week was his best game in an Orient shirt. Really liked what he did. I liked his energy. I thought he linked up well with Koroma at times. Yes, Josh Koroma was playing on the left. Probably won't be today. He might be back on the right. But I just thought he was very, very good. I like him and he's got pure quality. He's come through Manchester United's academy. He's a good player.
We're seeing our midfield duo just there of Sean Clare and Idris El Mazouni. Sean Clare, the one we're focusing on now, though, but they're going to be so crucial. And we say about Omar and Dan having to kind of win those duels and organise, but in the midfield, we're going to need to win it with them two in there, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. And what I love about Sean Clare is he's hard in the tackle, but he doesn't put himself in positions where he has to make hero tackles because his positioning is so good. His positioning in the pivot role is by far the best on the team for me, so I'm excited to have him get 90 minutes and kind of prove what that can do for the squad.
I like him playing against Idris El Mazouni. When they played there early in the season, the understanding with them was very, very good. Sean got injured, come out of a bit of form, Idris got sent off, and it was sort of in and out, and they were playing with different pairings and never really clicked. Today, with a pair of them, I think they're really, really good together, because what we'll probably do is we'll see the inverted fullback come inside, and Idris normally will pull out to the fullback position just to pull Stevenage around. And I think with that, Sean Clare, his football intelligence is really good. The understanding between the two, he's very, very good in there. So I'm so confident about today's game just because of that starting 11.
And unless I'm crazy, he was the one who scored the great goal in Reading.
Yeah.
And what I also love about the dynamic duo is Sean Clare will stay home a bit, and that will allow him to go into wide spaces, break in and shoot. That can be a bit dangerous if he's a one with two in front of him, but I like them sitting as a dual for that reason. It gives them more freedom.
Both of them can do that as well and get forward and get on the ball. You see that in the whole kind of middle of the pack, don't you? Players that can hopefully control a game.
Well, we can do. Listen, we've not had the best start. We've had a good start, better than last season, right? Last few games have not been brilliant. We are a bloody good team. When we're on it, everyone's fit, and we've got a full injury list, nothing going on in the medical room. We're a very, very good side. We get the ball down, we pass the ball. If we can improve what we do with the ball, i.e. play forward faster, can we attack teams faster, rather than hold on the ball, recycle, go from side to side. Yes, you can do that when you're winning the game and you need to kill the game a bit. But when you're looking for a goal, you need to attack quickly before the opposition gets set. And I think when we do that, and with the new players coming into the team, and they've been working on it in training, I'm sure, if we do that for more sustained periods of time, we're going to be more successful. And we've got the players to do it.
And we saw our magic come in on the screen just a moment ago. Aaron Connolly and Josh Koroma, they're the ones really that you're looking at in this team to spark a moment of magic and to do something special, aren't they?
For sure, yeah. And I think they certainly can provide the quality, but quality needs urgency and it needs the pace to be pushed. The more, like you said, the other team gets set, the less chance they have to show what makes them special. So when I was thinking about here, like reflecting on the game and what I wanted to say, number one on my notepad was push the pace, because it unlocks everything else.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that urgency. And that's where you need the experienced players on the pitch. I was talking about leaders last week. When the game is there for the taking, like before the goal at Reading last week, we had a lot of the ball, but there was times where we've broke the lines and we can go again. But it was holding on to the ball, 2, 3, 4 touches, picture changes, you've got to come back and do it. It's just that's where you have the leader, the voice on the pitch, that experienced person to get hold of these youngsters and say, come on, let's do this, let's push the pace quicker.
And Charlie Wellens will be crucial in that. His first league start, I believe. I might be wrong with that. I think it's his second. But either way, he's one that we've seen really impressed coming off the bench. And obviously there's a lot of noise around him, but rightfully so. He's had some good moments in a no shirt, and it's a big chance for him today.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you hear the name, the first thing that goes to everybody's head is his dad's the manager. For me, that doesn't really come into play. I don't think Richie, when he's picking the team, that even is on his radar. I think he's just picking the right people for the role. And what I love about Charlie Wellens is that he stretches, but he stretches intentionally. He doesn't just run forward and say, okay, I'm here, knock it. He peels off, he runs beyond, he looks for the slip pass through the gap, a lot of times between the fullback and the center back, which is how we ended up getting the goal in extra time. So I'm excited to see him do that again, because I think, like I said, he's another one that can contribute to the urgency factor here.
I'm intrigued to see where he plays on the pitch. Does he play on the right? Does he play down the middle? Does he play on the left-hand side? Has he got a flow it and roll? I'm really intrigued to see how we set up today.
Well, so am I. And we'll find out very shortly in just 15 minutes' time. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching along live on our YouTube preview stream, then international fans, you can pick up a match pass for just £10 English to watch along with us here on Orient Live. And if you're watching from inside the UK, you can pick up an audio pass to listen along with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. But now, let's hear from a club legend. It's Mr. Terry Howard.
PT, Stevenage to come on Saturday. Just how tough a test will they
let's
provide?
Cut to
Yeah,
just
always
cut
a tough
quick.
test against Stevenage.
Cut quick.
And now, especially now they've had a...
Apologies, that was Paul Terry, not Terry Howard. Hopefully we'll have Terry Howard. Let's try and hear from him now. No Terry Howard? Okay then, let's take a short break and then we'll take a look at Stevenage and what they're going to be bringing to today's game.
Is lunch at work awesome? If so, tune
I had
out
it in the
now.
script.
If not, keep listening. Picture this.
Fair enough.
Chef-made meals from local
No, that's
restaurants
George's
brought
fault.
right into your workplace. No sad sandwiches, no tired menus. By tapping into the local restaurant scene, Fuda powers workplace dining
Yeah, great.
opportunities across the U.S., giving teams flavor, convenience, and authenticity. Half of Glassdoor's best places to work have partnered with Fuda. Is your team ready to upgrade its workplace food scene? Find out how at Fuda.com. That's FOODA.com.
Okay, apologies about that mix-up. Hopefully we'll hear from Terry Howard next home game. But now, just to remind you, of course, on October the 25th, when the O's face Lincoln, it is our International Day, and you can book now for just £319. There's 10% off if you book through Leyton Orient Live as well. You get a private stadium tour around the Bet-Right Stadium, a 3-course meal, pre-game chat with Martin Ling and Richie Wellens, and much, much more. So if you're watching from overseas somewhere, look, you could even come and sit in the Orient Live studio like those two gentlemen in that picture there. And let me tell you, it's good. It's good, isn't it, Steph?
Very good.
It is.
mean, it's 1 in a million opportunity.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, they've thrown an extra 50 quid for the charity, and me and Steph will come and sit in the river.
Yeah, we'll come and visit you as well. Right then, actually I won't, I'm not here that game. Anyway, let's turn our attention to Stevenage then, and we've touched on it already, but second place, it's going to be a tough test. Alex Ravel has kind of continued what big old Steve Evans started. Not so big anymore actually, but they're on a bit of a roll from where they were a couple of years ago, and they've really built well in League One.
They've done well, they've come up. I don't know, where did this rivalry start with the O's and Stevenage? Was it just because we were in the same division? I don't know where it came from, but a lot of supporters hate Stevenage. I'm actually going with them. I dislike them a bit now, but they've done well. Look, the last season was a bit of a nothing year for them. They've started this campaign really well. They've got a good manager. The thing about Stevenage is they do the basics well. And we can complicate football as much as possible. We can use all this new terminology and this, and you talk about XG, and they do the basics well. They know how to win games. They know how to see games out when they're leading by 1 goal. They're just a very good football side. Not unbeatable, because we'll beat them today, I'm sure of it. But they're a good team, and they're on a really good trajectory.
Yeah, they're kind of riding that crest at the moment, aren't they? And I guess we've seen it with Orient in seasons gone by. You even hark back to 2013 season where you win your first 5, 6, 7 games and you don't drop any points, and you get on a run. You feel like you can beat anyone, and I guess they're feeling in that similar form today.
For sure, yeah. And I think what they do is they make it difficult. They look to get a first goal, usually through physicality, whether that's a set piece, a long ball and picking up the seconds, or a corner. And then they lock it in and they make it really, really difficult for you to dig yourself out of a hole. So for the O's, the way you combat that is twofold. The first is you're super, super focused on defensive set pieces, and you get a body on them early before they have a chance to jump. And the second is you move the ball when we're going forward, because I think to unlock a team that's big and physical, it's usually movement, and you can catch them out with tactics and fitness. And I think that we're the stronger side in those 2 areas.
And the third point, which you missed, is score lots of goals before they do.
Yeah, that's true.
That is important.
But like Steph just said, a really good thing. When you've got big physical sides, right? I wasn't the biggest, but as a defender, I hated playing against smaller players. Technical little ones, they drift off you, they're really good. I'd rather play against somebody big, because you knew you were in for a battle, you knew their movement, you knew you could sort of interpret where they were going to go. You play against small technical players, different game. And we've got that in Connolly. He'll drop deep, get the ball. Very good players up the pitch. And I think that is going to be one of the key moments for us today, is them getting on the ball.
They've got some as well that we'll come on to shortly, so that could be an interesting battle. But just sticking with maybe the inverted commas again, rivalry. Richie Wellens, I think, might be a name that's stuck in some of the Stevenage fans' minds from that away game a couple of seasons ago, where he reminded them who won the league the season before. That energy from, I think, the away end as well, and the energy from the home end, do you feel that could spill onto the pitch a little bit? You almost want it to, don't you?
Have you been watching the Ryder Cup? Because there's that energy going on there. Are you trying to ignite it today? I think their supporters may think of that. It's nothing really, is it? It's rivalry, it's football. It's the past is the past, right? We're just thinking about what's going on today, and now we move forward. Don't let. If that gets in anyone's head, then they've got the issue.
Yeah. Well, today will be more entertaining than golf, no matter what happens, I'm sure. Sorry, Glenn. Right, then let's take a look and see how Stevenage will be lining up for this afternoon's clash. Let's see how Ravel is lining up today for his men. So starting in goal is Philippe Marchal. Across the back line they have Lewis Freestone, Charlie Good and Luther James Walden in there, alongside the captain who always causes us trouble. It's Carl Piergiani. Harvey White and Jordan Houghton are in the midfield. Beryl Labala and Kem Campbell in the wide positions, with Ghassan Adame leading the line and Dan Kemp in the 10 position. Now he's the danger man that I just referred to, but we'll come on to him very shortly. And on the bench for Stevenage is Tay Ashby Hammond, Dan Sweeney, Dan Butler, Jordan Roberts, Lewis Orford, Phoenix Patterson and Jovan Malcolm. There's a few danger players that stand out in that side. We've spoken about what a tough test it's going to be. What do you make looking at that starting lineup, Steph?
Yeah, I think they definitely have some threats, and they have some pieces to be aware of, particularly on transition. But for me, the real threat is them as a collective on set pieces. Watching back, I found some compilation on YouTube of all the goals they've scored in the last 2 years, and 50+% of them are on set pieces, particularly when the other team sits in his own defense and doesn't get a body in early. So I'm sure Richie Wellens will pick that up and make sure that that doesn't happen to us today.
What I'm more concerned about is how long did that take you to watch Stevenage goals for 2 seasons? Because that's quite worrying.
Not that long.
I want to go to that.
Games, like, nothing.
Yeah, they don't score many goals. They don't score too many.
No, good for you on the research. Brilliant. They've got the A1 Messi, haven't they? The Stevenage Messi in Dan Kemp. We know Dan Kemp. He was a Leyton Orient player, 4 seasons ago. Lovely lad. Done really well for us when he was here. Obviously left under Kenny Jackett and went to MK
Dons. Yeah.
MK Dons. Lovely lad. Spoke to him here after the game last season, and he was getting frustrated with their style of play because they do go direct more so than not. And he's the player, he plays in that number 10 position, likes the ball to feet, likes to play, and he was getting frustrated with the way they play. However, how they've recruited, and when they do go more direct, they win that first contact more than not, and it drops down to him in that number 10, and he's very dangerous, and if he's not scoring, he's creating. He's a very technically gifted player. They've got other threats, obviously. Steph's talking about the physicality and what they do on set pieces. We know that. They can mix it up. But I think Dan Kemp will be the major threat for them. And if Idris or Sean Clare keeps him quiet today, and aware where he is on the pitch, because he finds little spaces, he finds little pockets of space on his own, and he always gets the ball, and he'll always get a shot off or slide a pass in. We can just keep him under control. We've got a very good chance of winning this game. Do
you think that'll be an instruction from Richie for either? You'd imagine maybe Sean Clare, just keep Dan Kemp in your vision, make sure you don't lose him, make sure you kind of keep him out of the game. And if you can do that, do you eliminate a lot of their creativity?
For sure, yeah. If I were Richie, what I'd be saying is make sure he doesn't float between Sean Clare and then Happy and Beckles. Like, what I've seen him do really well is find that pocket of no man's land between the back four and the midfield, particularly when the game gets stretched. So for the challenge, if I were Richie, I'd be saying I would challenge those players to make sure that there's always some communication, that gap doesn't get too big, and if it does, someone's aware.
I think because there's no VAR in this league, when the ball's at the other end of the pitch, I'll be doing stuff to him, stamping on his toes, pinching him. I'll be playing dirty. The dark arts.
Yeah.
Well, the dark arts for sure. But talking about their directness and the amount of goals they've scored from set pieces, do you think that's probably a big reason why we don't know the full fitness status of Omar and Dan? I'm sure the medical team have done all the right stuff. However, maybe if in a different game you'd be like, we'll give Omar another, we maybe won't start him. But do you think maybe that's in the mind of, we need our 2 ball-winning centre-backs, our 6'4" lads to really dominate the box today?
That's a tough one, because I think on one hand your answer is yes. If they're not in the box, I'd be very worried just because of the goals that they've scored. On the other hand, I think if there was something materially wrong, there's just a point where you're going to get beat in the run of play. So I think the most likely scenario is maybe they're both carrying a tiny bit of a knock, but it's nothing they can't play through.
No, and what they bring to I would have a 90% Omar Beckles and Dan Happy playing over others, but just purely from the leadership side of it, because they'll get through the game today. I don't like to say it's going to be physical. Yeah, they can jump, they can head the ball. I don't think they're going to get stretched, and Stevenage are not that possession-based team who are going to pull, stretch you and pass around, and you're going to be running lots and lots and lots. Yes, they may be running backwards and forwards if it goes direct a lot, but I just think that they're in the team. One is because they're thoroughly good footballers, but 2 because their leadership and their organisation and the lift it gives to all the other players around them.
we've seen in the last couple of games, actually, games that of the flow and the momentum has been affected by injuries, you know, by no fault of anyone. But Richie said it in his post-match last week, he's having to make 2 subs and leaving him with only 1 sub break left, and he can't manage the game how he'd like to. We've had 2 clear weeks on the training pitch now. You're hoping we don't come into that same situation again, because it can really mess with the flow, can't it?
Yeah, it certainly can. And I think as a coach, your worst nightmare is using your 3rd sub and then somebody gets hurt and you're playing with 10. So going into the game thinking that that might even be a possibility, you start to feel really handicapped. And as a team today that is a bit smaller but is quicker and I think more tactical going forward, you want to make sure that you're able to stretch the game with people at 100% fitness. So I definitely think it's an issue.
Back in my day, we only had 2 subs. How'd you deal with that?
That was 40 years ago, Glenn.
I know, yeah.
Anyway, right, the teams are coming out now. How are we feeling? What we're talking about, what an opportunity is for Stevenage to get all the points and get on top of the table early doors. But we need to see this as a big opportunity for ourselves, Glenn. We need to start picking up those points. And 3 points are big at this stage of the season and can...
Yeah, we need to start really fast, be very, very aggressive, really get in their faces, you know, and play the football, establish possession, play the football like Steph's saying, play fast, go forward fast. Go and do that. You get them opportunities, get an early goal or 2 on the board. Stevenage have got to change the way they play. Opens it up even more.
Early kick-off, hopefully some of the Stevenage players are...
Still sleeping.
Still half asleep.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it, though, Steph? Energy, intensity, and we can take it to them and we can do it here.
I like the walkout. Beckles and Happy look massive. They're ready to go. So, up the O's.
Up the O's. Glenn, final prediction?
0-0.
Brilliant, brilliant. Right then, hopefully there'll be a few more goals for us to bring you here on Orient Live. But without further ado, let's head over now to our match commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Charlie Whellan's one of those 3, with Dan Happy and Sean Clare also coming into the side. Simpson.